This is from Anna in Bulgaria. I think some nights remind you how small your control really is. That New Year's Eve, my family was cheerful, counting down hours. But my mind stayed on my brother Nikolai. I couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't okay. Nikolai had once been proud of his life. He worked as a manager at a trading company, owned a small apartment, even helped our parents financially. But after a business failure and unpaid loans, everything disappeared. He ended up taking a night shift job as a security guard. We'd grown distant after his problems started. Every call turned into an argument. I offered help, and he called it pity. The last time we spoke, we both said things we regretted. Months passed without contact. I tried to move on, but guilt followed me everywhere. That New Year's Eve, our apartment in Sofia was warm and noisy. My parents cooked stuffed peppers. My cousin played folk music videos. Fireworks echoed outside. It was supposed to feel festive, yet I kept staring at my phone, waiting for a message that never came. Around 10 o'clock, I quietly left the table and went to my bedroom. I lit a candle near the window and started to pray for him. I asked for something simple, that he was safe, warm, and not alone somewhere in the cold city night. When I rejoined the table, I tried to smile, but the worry came back like pressure in my chest. My mother asked if I felt sick. I said no. After a few minutes, I returned to the bedroom again. I kept praying, without even realizing how long. Later, I would learn what was happening to him during those same hours. Nikolai had finished his shift near the tram station. The air was below freezing, the streets nearly empty. He waited for the tram, but it never came. He said he felt invisible to the world. He told me he stood there for almost an hour, stamping his feet to keep warm. His hands were shaking. He thought about walking across town, but his legs felt heavy. He said it was the loneliest New Year's Eve he had ever lived through. Then something unexpected caught his eye, a faint yellow light coming from a new apartment building nearby. It didn't make sense, because the building wasn't finished yet. As he stared, a man and a woman opened a window and called out, asking if he was cold. They waved for him to come inside. At first, he thought maybe they were mistaken or joking, but they sounded kind, almost familiar. So he walked toward the entrance. Inside, the place was warm, smelled like soup, and soft classical music played from a radio on the table. Nikolai told me the couple looked like an ordinary husband and wife, maybe in their 40s. The apartment felt lived in. Warm lights, clean table, soft music playing from a small radio. They served him soup, bread, and tea, talking to him like family. He said it was the first normal conversation he'd had in months. He said they didn't ask much about his life, only if he was hungry and where he worked. The woman placed a blanket over his shoulders while the man refilled his cup. He said the tea smelled of mint, and that simple warmth made him feel human again. At that same hour, I was still praying in my bedroom. I remember the moment exactly. The church bells struck midnight, and suddenly my heartbeat slowed. The fear that had followed me all week disappeared. I didn't know why, but something in me said he was safe. When the fireworks began, I went to the window. Sofia's sky glowed with color and smoke, but the sound felt distant. My family cheered in the other room, yet I stayed quiet. I whispered, "Thank you," into the air without even knowing what I was thanking for. The next morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Nikolai. Hearing his voice after so long made me freeze. He sounded different, calm, polite, even lighthearted. He said, "I just wanted to tell you I'm okay." I sat down and started crying from relief. He told me about the night in detail, how the couple welcomed him inside, gave him food, and let him rest in a warm chair. Around dawn, they called a taxi and handed him enough money for the fare. They wished him a good year and said goodbye at the door. When he mentioned the address, I immediately recognized it. The building wasn't supposed to be open yet. I asked if he was sure. Maybe it was the one next to it. He insisted, "No, Anna, that's the one. The new white building by the tram stop. I'm certain." That afternoon, Nikolai went back to thank them. He found the gate locked with a chain, windows covered in plastic sheeting and no lights anywhere. He circled the block twice. There was dust on the floor and construction materials stacked inside. No sign of dinner, no chairs, no people. When he told me what he saw, I felt chills spread through me. I remembered how right at midnight my heart had gone quiet and peaceful. The timing matched too perfectly. I didn't interrupt him. I just listened while he described it again, both of us trying to make sense of it. He said, maybe they were just kind people moving in early. Then he paused and added, but it didn't look like that. His voice carried certainty I couldn't argue with. I realized I didn't need an explanation. Whatever happened that night gave him hope, and that was enough for me. In the weeks that followed, I noticed small changes in Nikolai. He started calling more often, even visiting our parents again. He stopped avoiding people. He didn't talk about that night much, but when he did, he always said it made him believe that life still had good in it. He began eating better, keeping a routine, and even found a new job later that year. He said he wanted to help others who felt alone, because he knew what that kind of loneliness did to a person. It wasn't sudden, but little by little, he came back to himself. For me, something changed too. I started praying differently, not asking for things to happen, but saying thank you for what already had. Every New Year's Eve since then, I light a small candle near the window, the same way I did that night. Sometimes when I pass that same street in Sofia, I look at the building. It's fully finished now, with families living there and lights in every window. I still wonder where that kindness came from. But the more years pass, the less I need an answer. My parents sometimes call it a miracle. I don't argue, but I don't insist either. Maybe it was divine. Maybe it was human. All I know is that someone, somewhere, cared enough to open a door for him that night. When fireworks fill the sky each New Year's Eve, I don't think of noise or celebration anymore. I think of that moment of calm when my fear disappeared. To me, that was the real beginning of the new year. Not midnight, but peace. I know there are people spending New Year's Eve alone right now, the way my brother once did. I wish they knew that someone might be thinking of them, even from far away. You never really know whose prayer might reach you when you need it. I can't explain what happened that night, and I've stopped trying. Whether it was a miracle or just a moment of pure kindness, it changed both of us. It reminded me that sometimes help arrives quietly, without names or reasons. If this story made you think about someone you care about, maybe reach out to them tonight. You never know how much it could mean. And if stories like this stay with you, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Someone out there might need to read them.